Welcome to episode 12 of Going Ultra. This time I'm talking about Ultraman, episode 12. If I was still titling my episodes, the title of this one would be The Callowest of Youths. And I'm going to come back to that. Today we had even more reveals, or in this episode we have even more reveals, and brought some character similarities and differences into sharper contrast, and it's kind of a meaty thing to talk about, although it's just kind of a few key things are really juicy, so I'll get into those now. So, first of all, we have this amazing display of violence and concentrated power in the Science Patrol, and I don't know, it's really interesting. On one hand, the Science Patrol enables humans to be protected from aliens, but on the other hand, the flip side of that is that the Science Patrol regularly dishes out violence against and even executes death on aliens who step out of line. And I had kind of talked briefly in a previous episode about the similarity between Endo, blaming Ultraman for her mother's death, and calling into question the legitimacy of a hero who claims to fight for justice and save people's lives when they fail to save other people's lives, and how difficult Shinjiro's job is, it's really not a job, but whatever, how difficult that is, the responsibility of being Ultraman is. And I kind of compared that to police, and I mentioned how I'm pro good police who are well policed among themselves, or from outside authorities or whatever, but I'm also not for people rioting in the streets and mobbing and menacing because they don't feel like justice is being done, because I don't really feel like that's an effective way to bring about justice. But seeing Tech Dad, whose name we still don't get in this episode, Seiji just calls him Old Man in the subtitles, seeing him threatened so dramatically by the Science Patrol and by Moriboshi, who we know has no qualms about killing, I think, anyone if he feels it's necessary. It was kind of scary. It made the Science Patrol scary. They've been this neat, cool thing with their bright orange suits and the cool rocket ship star logo they have, but they really are a paramilitary organization, and it's interesting to think about the implications of them existing in Japan alongside the less armed civil authorities, is what you might call the police there. I'm sure part of why I'm saying this is because I like Tech Dad, but really, what brought me to this point is that it looked so scary and deadly and lethal, which, I guess from one perspective, they're doing a good job as makers of the show in making the Science Patrol effectively menacing and scary and threatening, so that's good. I would say Moriboshi definitely crosses the line when he starts choking Tech Dad here, and I wonder, is this concern for Seiji, or is this alien hatred? Because I'm not 100% sure where Moriboshi stands on aliens, really. He keeps referring to them as illegal aliens, and living in California, I've been taught that's a dirty word and you're a bad person if you say it, which I don't think is necessarily true, because it's like a legal definition. I can understand wanting to change legal definitions so they're less hurtful to people, but anyway, I don't know. It's interesting. It just kind of gave me pause. And this is a little silly, but I still wanted to share it. I love conference scenes like this, and the fact that we know more about Bemular, and the fact that, at least, allegedly the Star Cluster Council might be bad because they were the ones who sent the diplomats, or the people sent to work out the deal 12 years ago with the plane crash, sent them, they sent the mercenaries after them to kill them, possibly to stop the treaty with humanity. I don't know to what end, but it's really interesting. Anyway, so it's a cool scene, but even the stuff found out in the interview is really fascinating and brings a lot of interesting implications to the future of the series. So, which is about to end because this is the penultimate episode. So, I'm really I want to know what's going on. I want to know what Bemular's deal is. I'm so very much invested in the show, and I definitely don't think we'll be getting answers by the end of episode 13, or many more answers, or despite the amount of answers we might be getting, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions to be answered in future series, so that's fun. Seiji and Ace Killer seem to be equally bad as far as their lack of concern for who they hurt, as long as the payoff is worth it, is concerned. like I said at the beginning of the episode, the callous of youth, and I'll come back to that later, but like, Ace Killer just wants to kill people. He's a mercenary. He talks about not being like Earth mercenaries, which I don't know what the heck that means. Maybe it's because he wants to find the strongest and kill the strongest or whatever, but none of that matters right now. But I just thought it was an interesting observation that his disregard for human life is similar to, or the lives of his targets and, anybody who gets in the way is kind of similar to Seiji's disregard for anybody who gets in his way. So Shinjiro, through his naivete and his lack of, I guess, battle awareness, gets himself and Moriboshi in deeper than Moriboshi had wanted, all because Ace Killer was setting this trap for Seiji, not Seijiro, and Seiji was in turn using the Science Patrol as bait or as a distraction or as a temporary measure to take out at least some of the mercenaries to make it easier for himself to eliminate them, take revenge against them for killing his human family, maybe Yuko's alien family and whatnot. And that just goes back to me saying, or that's reasoning. I am justifying my claim that he is the callous of youths, and I'm not saying that's a character flaw, and he's a bad character because of that. I'm saying it's interesting that that's where his character is right now, and it's interesting to me that he and Ace Killer are so darn similar. Just because it is, I think it's an interesting direction to take it, especially because this guy is kind of representing, he's called the Master, the guy, like the Bulbasaur alien, for lack of a better name, calls Ace Killer Master, and it's funny that just how striking the similarities are between the two of them. And I hope we don't get into Ace Killer's backstory and find out that he's, something else and he was victimized and now he's a villain or whatever. I just think it's an interesting foil and contrast between the two. Another thing, it was kind of funny, Seiji, while the guys are getting beat up and used as bait, he gets this expression on his face, and I thought he was moved with compassion for his fellow Ultramen, but it was just his desire to help Yugo again. So, once again, I'm dubbing him callous of youths because of that. Because, he really doesn't care about anything other than protecting this girl. Whether she be human or alien, doesn't matter. And he'll do pretty much anything he has to enable himself to do that, even becoming a worse killer. And he complains before he launches into a memory or an attack or whatever. Before he attacks, that he's got to do this because these guys are the reason. People like this are stopping Yuko from being able to enjoy full membership in human society alongside humans as a resident alien, and how upset that makes him. But gosh, the he's being pretty bad. So it'll be interesting to see how this is resolved. Really digging the show. This is just it's such good stuff. Looking forward to more. But I'm gonna stop now. You can check out my stuff at mjmunoz.com. I've got this up there, as well as everything I put on my YouTube channel. It's going to be there as well. You can find my Mobile Fighter G Gundam show. You can find another writer cast as well, and comic reviews. I do all sorts of stuff, and I'd love it if you check that out. And if you want to, if you like what I'm doing, you can give me a little tip by supporting me on Ko-fi, coffee.com/mjmunoz. And if you enjoyed this, remember to like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and just double check that all of those things are still there so that you keep getting my stuff as it comes out. Ciao.